It's time to work on the pole mod again. That's right. What's going on, everybody? We're back in the shop today, and finally, I'm gonna get back on the pole mod build. We had to do a little organization, cleaning up, sprucing up, freshening up the place, making it look real nice for you folks at home watching the videos. But now that we're done with that, at least for the most part, we're gonna get back to work on the pole mod build. Now, last time we left off, I was considering changing the turbo kit setup and doing a whole bunch of stuff there. So I think we're gonna get started on that. What's gonna happen right now is I'm gonna show you guys something that I've been working on. If you remember a couple videos back, I don't know how long ago it was, I said, you know, I'd love to start making my own parts. Well, we have been doing it. So I have never used 3D software or CAD software before to make anything, build anything. I ended up buying one. I'll show it to you guys. It is Shaper 3D because I know a bunch of people are gonna ask in the questions. And there is one thing that I wanted to do, if you guys remember from the last video, that we have done. So let's look at it. If you guys remember, I was talking about wanting to make some plates for this door so that way we could mount it. Shout out to Jason Dons. He's actually the one that gave me the idea. And I said, hey, if you have them, I'll just buy them. He didn't have them, didn't have the file. And I said, you know what? This is a perfect opportunity for us to make our first part. So what I want to do is put a plate here so that way, this way, I can weld this rod or this pipe to this plate and still be able to adjust the door the way that I want to, which led me to our 3D printer. We ended up getting an Ender 3 Pro 3D printer and got our first design. So this is a very simple plate. I know you guys are gonna be like, man, it's a plate with 3 holes drilled in it. Yes, but it matches the exact measurements we need, and I now have the file so I can make many of them. Go to www.shitboxsupply.com and buy your own kit. It'll be on the website probably by the time this video gets put out. So we got the plate. I'll bolt it in for you guys so you can see what I'm talking about. Now, by using a plate here, this is going to allow us, you see all the adjustment we have here? This is gonna allow me to not only mount the door and get all the gaps right and everything, but over time, you know, things settle, they move, whatever, however we do it, it is going to put us in a position where we can adjust it for the future. It's not only going to work right now, but it's going to work for the future. So we've got this one all wrapped up. So I took that design and then I went ahead and made a fancy version. Just a nicer, cleaner version. So this way it just looks better. Save a little bit of metal, a little bit of weight, all that kind of stuff. So now the 3D printer allows us to do this and also make it in a way where I can make changes quickly. We don't have to go to the plasma table and do all this stuff just to find out I did it wrong. So I think we are all good to go here with this design. There we go. But there you guys have it. You see, now it's too tight for me to move around. But I think that this is ready to go to plasma cutting. So let's load up, get out of here, head on over to my buddy's house and see if we can make these plates. Note to self, I'll probably include some brand new bolts in the kit so that way you don't have this old rusty mess. And that there's a 90. That'd be perfect. All right, well, unfortunately, my buddy Chris had to go somewhere, so we'll check back in on those door plates in a little bit. But he did get me the tubing that I needed and put the 90 in it like I needed. So we're gonna see if we can't go ahead and get this torn apart, blast it apart, start cutting, and start figuring out where we're gonna put the turbo now. It sucks, because there's a bunch of work and everything in here, but oh well, for the better, right? It's always for the better. All right, let me tell you guys what's going on here, right? So I have tried a number of different placements of the turbo, right? I tried putting it over in this corner, didn't really like it. I tried turning it and putting it in front of the engine here. I really didn't like it. And then just for, you know, just for laughs, I was like, hey, let's try putting it somewhere else. Now, I do not know if this is at all a good idea. What I do know is that it would put a lot of weight in the rear, which is what we want. My thought process here is actually this turbo would need to be way up higher, but it would need to be up higher, and then we could build a air dam system from the passenger side window that goes into the intake of the turbo, and the exhaust would be much higher, would come out behind my head and come out the back window somewhere here. This is what happens when I'm left unsupervised. I don't know if that's where we're gonna land on. We might not even put this in the video, especially if we don't land there, because then I'll hear a bunch of grief about how come you didn't do it. But would fix my weight problem, would be really different. I like being different. I've kind of played around with it a little bit, and we were thinking maybe, well, I say we, it's only me here. Maybe like there? I mean, this way, it would allow the exhaust to come straight out the back window. It's gonna be like saying anyway, we can trim ring it, whatever. Go down with that, through the floor, up, we'll spin that around. It's a tough decision because that weight is high and far back, which would be super helpful for us. But that's a lot of piping we gotta add to go from there up to there. But I'm not really happy with any of the other configurations up front. I did cut that out because I gotta cut the mount out to reuse it. And I was like, well, it's possible that if I put it back here, I can just go right in between that X bracing there. So this here, I don't know. I'm not sold on it. I do like it. It would be a bunch to make it work, but I do like it. I also would probably really like what it does for our rear weight percentage. Well, after racking my brain for hours last night, moving the turbo here, there, every damn wire, I think that I've come up with what will be its final position. I'm not super happy about it. I did try closer to the motor, but when I do that, it puts the exhaust like really close to the front tire, and I do want to be able to come out the fender, not halfway out the wheel well, so I believe this will work. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be tight. I was thinking of what the best ways to do this were and maybe still allow access to the belts and that. The problem is that everything you do to benefit one thing takes away from something else. So everything's a trade-off, right? Like if we were going to put the turbo in the rear window there, that would have been awesome. Now there's a trade-off. Yes, a lot of exhaust pipe, whatever. And there could be some, difference in pressure and pressure loss and that kind of stuff. But actually I talked to Adam, who's got the Mac TV truck. I asked him a couple questions. One of the things he told me was like, you may need to leave with more, so you got to make that work. And I was like, well, in the Nova, we left with 4,000 plus RPM, 12 plus pounds on bad surfaces because of the Power Glide 373 gear. So I'm no stranger to that aspect of it. And he's like, oh, well, if you've done that a bunch, then, you'll probably figure it out pretty quickly. But there was also some talk about the converter and the fuel choice and properly sizing the turbo and everything. What actually ended up stopping me from doing it was the fact that in order to run the exhaust, I was going to have to go under the car with some long tubes, and then underneath the car, it would have made the exhaust the lowest point, and I didn't want the exhaust to be the lowest point of the car, especially that far under all of the chassis stuff. So it's trade-off, right? Like we could have it in a better spot for weight. It'd have been really freaking cool. But the trade-off would have been I would have to worry about scraping or crushing my exhaust pipe on different surfaces, and I don't want to do that because we need that exhaust pipe to make turbo power. We've kind of landed here. Not super stoked about it, but I think what's going to happen is we're going to 90 off of here, and then 90 into here, and 90 off of here, and 90 into there. But it's probably going to be a lot of pie cuts and quite a bit of fitting work just to make it work. But before I can do any of that, first step is going to be get the turbo mounted. Because I would much rather mount the turbo and then build the turbo kit to that than build the turbo kit with this thing hanging, weebling, wobbling everywhere and moving around. So we got this 90. I thought about going off of this bar down here, but if I go off of this bar, as you guys can see, we're definitely gonna lose belt access because that thing is gonna make it really a pain in the butt to get a belt on and off, especially when it's sitting on the bar like this, right? Part of what I'm trying to figure out is the ease of working on this thing in the future. So what I think I'm gonna actually do is come off of this bar here, and it's going to be kind of angled. There's so much time in just thinking about this stuff, like even the placement of where the hot side comes in, because it has to miss the mount. There's a lot of time spent literally just sitting here staring at it thinking. So I think we have the idea now. As long as this looks like it's going to continue to work, I'll go ahead and first step will be get the turbo mount on there, and then we'll go from there. Hey there, it's me again, Mr. Change My Mind 6000. I just really have been unhappy with trying to position the single turbo. So I do still have the old S366s off of the weight car. So I went over to the house, I grabbed them up, and we're just playing with some mock-up stuff here and just trying to get an idea of maybe possibly we could get what we're after without doing the single turbo setup. The few ways that this could be done, I like simplicity, clean, all that kind of stuff, right? So we were talking about we could just 90 straight up off of this and put 2 turbos right there, which would be very cool. The only thing that I don't like about that is my man Steven Little with the Kraken has his turbos in a similar spot. I actually think his are like kind of center of the motor. It'd be another Camaro with 2 turbos like that, you know, down on originality points. But we could also, for simplicity's sake, 180 off of here and run these bad boys right back to roughly where they were on the white car. I'm not sure how much space we've got, but what I do know is that these turbos are significantly smaller and easier to package and work with all together than the large S400 85 millimeter Godfather from Stainless Diesel. The good news is that Stainless Diesel does have their 5-blade technology in S300 turbos. I know they have a 66 and a 69, I believe. So these are 66s. So if we wanted to in the future upgrade them, we can, and everything would bolt right in, just kind of like we did with the S400. We may try a couple combinations. The only thing that sucks is the only way to try it is to start tacking it together. Like you gotta tack it together to figure it out. So I think what we're gonna end up doing here is I gotta do pie cut 180 degrees to get us up so we can get back here and bam, into the side of the turbo. They're gonna end up roughly somewhere around here. It's gonna take a little bit of playing with once we start getting the pipe figured out. The thing that I like about this, center line of the front wheel, turbos behind center line of the front wheel. So it's not going to reduce a whole bunch of front end weight. I don't know, I need to find a hood because I don't have any hoods for this thing. We're gonna find a hood. We'll see how much slicing and dicing that'll take. But the only way to do this is to do it. So I gotta sit down, make these 180 degree pie sections so that way we can go ahead and start getting this figured out. If I weld all of these pie cuts together, I am not redoing this shit. So we better think of, if there's a reason this won't work, we better think of it fast. So now we get our first idea of what this could possibly look like. There we go. That wouldn't work. That's not what we're talking about. Remember when I was like, oh, the twins are going to be easier to package? Yeah, okay. Not quite going how I pictured him. Alright, well, after 37 and a half attempts at getting this one right, I finally got one that, you know, I'm not the craziest about it, but it's simple it'll work. It looks halfway decent. So it checks a lot of my boxes. Now we're gonna have to have Brandon hold a bunch of this so I can tack it all in place where it's supposed to go. And then I think I'm gonna try to tack as many spots as I can and go ahead, weld it on the table, because I figured out that when I weld on the table and I can get in a much more comfortable position, to move my arm and hand and everything else, it works out dramatically better. What is this gonna do for weight? I'm not sure exactly what it'll do for weight. Probably not much, but center of the turbo, where the center of the turbo was to now center of the turbo, about 11 inches. So I don't know what it's gonna do to weight. Honestly, at this point I don't care anymore. I am so over this damn thing. But look, sometimes it'd be like that. You just don't be afraid to keep doing it until you get it to where you're happy, it's right. The thing that was an issue is that every different iteration of this, there was something that it made better and there was something that it made worse. And ultimately you have to figure out what you're willing to live with making it worse. Like this here, it's gonna make it kind of a pain to change a belt. But we shouldn't have to change the belt. We should fix all of our belt issues in design, and then this way we don't have to worry about it throwing belts or anything like that and having to be in that area of the car. Now, it makes the exhaust come right out. I haven't even held the front end up to this, so wherever it comes out, it's coming out. But it also got us up in the air. I'll have to ask Stainless about this. Honestly, it's too late now, so it's not gonna be too much of a problem. Instead of the drain coming straight down, there's some angle to the drain, but I don't think it's going to be an issue. It's not front or back like this. It's more like this is where the angle is. But you know, like I said, I don't think that's going to be too much of an issue. We've lost a lot of exhaust piping, if you haven't noticed. Now there's not much piping at all. So wastegates are going to have to be off of these bends right here. Is the only feasible option that I can think of. Hey, we redid the turbo kit 16,000 times, but it should be right. I should be happy. Look, some people are gonna be like, man, you didn't have to use them pie cuts for that. This one we definitely did. This one, maybe we didn't have to, but I spent 3 or 4 hours welding them things together. We're using them damn pie cuts. I'm not letting them go to waste. Now I've created a giant mess, so let's clean up and then we'll get to tacking this while I got another set of hands and we'll rock and roll from there. But we've got another 45 we can cut to make it right. Whatever it is, it's close enough that even if we just threw clamps on it, it would work. Now, I'll probably end up welding one of these sides, weld this side, and leave that side clamped just for ease of movement, everything. Believe it or not, I have got about, I don't know how many hours in this hot side. If you count all the renditions, I've got a lot. And I do have to finish welding the V-bands and the flange out, but everything else is welded. I just wanted to wait on the V-bands because when you weld the V-bands, you have to weld it connected to the other side, or at least, you know, stick another V-band in a clamp because it will warp the V-band, and that'll be a headache. And then down here, mostly I knew that the flange was going to take a higher amperage than what I was doing everything else at, so I said let me do all this first and then we'll go back to the flange. But we have got Jolly Rancher Sour Lemonade Gummies, which are, if you guys have not tried these will change your life. We got most of the hot side. Hell yeah. Looks alright. Looks like it'll work. It's a little bit of a pain to fit up because when you finish weld this stuff, if you don't have it clamped down in place, and if you don't have enough experience, which is we're learning, you know what I mean? It will kind of pull directions and change directions on you depending on how much you weld. And I don't know, is it a quarter away around the pipe too much? Is an eighth away around the pipe too much? I don't know yet. hopefully maybe somebody in the comments will be able to tell me like, hey, it'll keep from pulling out. You know, I tacked multiple sides, but it is what it is. It fits up, it works. We're gonna get some wastegates. Let me grab some wastegates. We'll take a look at where we might put them. We're gonna go with the, I believe they're Gen 3, VS Racing Gen 3 44 millimeter wastegates. We have these 50s, 60s, they're all on the shelf in stock at SHITBOXSupply.com. So if you guys want to get some, let me know. Or you don't even have to let me know, you just go to the website. Derek really wanted me to recirculate the wastegates into the exhaust and then go O2 sensor after that. We could stick this one out here, maybe like that, and get it kind of straight shot into the exhaust there. And then for the second one would be a challenge, because the second one we'd have to go off of here and then come down and up and into that one would be a real challenge. Or we could just stick it right there. That would look pretty good. It would look pretty good. The problem is we'd have to do something with this because we don't want the wastegate opening anywhere near the turbo opening. Wastegates and exhaust will at times have some moisture, different stuff in the exhaust. Also, you want fresh air, not exhaust air, back into your turbo system there. Looks pretty good. And now, one more thing checked off the list. This is it. This is final rendition. I'm not redoing this. If this doesn't work, I don't know what to tell you. So I do still need to build some kind of support for this. I'll probably run a support for this off of the rack bar. The problem is I still am not sure if I want to move that rack bar down any further, so I don't want to build that extra support yet. Right now, I mean, she ain't going anywhere, but it wouldn't hurt, you know. What's another piece of 1.25 inch right here just to kind of get her right, get her tight. Man, this thing's coming together. Oh, we got to do the front end. Shout out to Ryce Sullivan, who tagged me in these pictures today. He said he got the POMA working on the street. He said he got it figured out. And it does look pretty cool in the video game with the red front end and the gray black. But so this actually works out. I mean, exhaust is gonna come roughly straight out, will be right in this area, which was part of my issue. If I put the turbo any closer to the engine, we would have been the exhaust would have been coming out here, and it would just, like, I know, you know, looks don't matter because it has to work and it has to function, I get it, but I want the car to look like I gave a half a crap about what I was doing and, you know, took some time to figure it out. So I ain't mad at it. We'll have a little bit of that cold side is going to be, it is, I think we got to go, we have to rotate it back further. Is that what it is? No. I was going to say, maybe if we rotate it back further, it would fix that angle up a little bit. But even still, if we have to cut like one little awkward pie cut to put in there to just kind of get that figured out, you know what I mean? I don't think that'll be the end of the world. So we did the math. In this piece right here, just in this piece of the hot side, there's over 25 foot of welding done. Man, when I tell you I feel like I've been welding for the last week, I've been welding a lot. So we ran out of gas. Like, we'd had most of this figured out last night, but we ran out of gas, so I had to get some gas today, everything. The welds definitely gotten some practice. A lot of them look much better than before. We're getting good penetration. I still don't have the stuff to back purge, and I did order, a lot of you guys said get that big 12 cup, so I got one. The problem is I didn't get the adapter kit, and the local welding shop didn't have the pieces I needed to adapt it, so I haven't gotten to use it yet. Waiting to do that. A lot of practice, that's it. The only way, like, somebody had commented like on Facebook, like, oh, I wish I could weld like that, blah blah. You can. I don't know what I'm doing. I will say this, I took welding in high school, so I have some knowledge from back in the day, but we never did TIG welding. We did oxyacetylene, which is, you know, two-handed, feed the rod, kind of same idea. So that gives you, that helps out a little bit. But with today's day and age of YouTube, I want to shout out everybody that's been making comments, like in the videos I posted and the pictures and stuff. For once, everybody's just been helpful. Like, hadn't been a metric crap ton of people just shit talking about how horrible it is. Everybody gave me good advice. Hey, try this amperage, try this. Nick Pluniak, all kinds of people just, hey, try this, blah, blah, blah. So maybe you guys can help me out. Maybe it's something I'm doing wrong with my machine. I'm used to the machine, the amperage changing as I pedal. This machine, it seems that if I touch the pedal, it's just whatever the amperage is, no matter how much I press up or down. So I've used the pulse feature on the machine itself because I can't get it with my foot pedal control. So maybe there's a setting I got screwed up or something. Maybe you guys can let me know. Eastwood T200 digital, if you guys have one. Do you guys have the same problem? What do I have wrong? I haven't looked into it, I'm not gonna lie. So it could be fairly simple in just a setting, but man, the POMOD, baby! Oh, I cannot wait to get this thing on the street. We are light years behind on the schedule right now, unfortunately, because of redoing this. But hopefully this is the last thing we have to do 3 and 4 times to get right. So I know I promised you guys some door brackets and stuff, but I haven't had a chance to get over there, and Chris hasn't had an opportunity to cut them out yet. So we'll do that coming up here real soon. We'll do the door brackets, we'll get the doors mounted. I have the Lexan, I have everything. We could finish out the doors, but we're at a point now too where I need to start grabbing stuff off the Nova. We need the fuel cell. I've got the air to water back here. We need to figure out battery mount. I did order a front end mount because obviously we can't do any of the exhaust stuff. There's a lot of stuff that like, oh, I want to do this, but we need this piece. Like I need to fully mount this front end, and then I can worry about the exhaust coming out the side and all that kind of stuff. We'll get to it. We'll get it figured out. Right now we've got a bunch of parts on the way, but I do need to start grabbing stuff off the Nova because we're pretty well at the point of like we got to start getting some stuff in the trunk. And then once we start getting some of that stuff in the trunk, I'll feel a little bit better. We'll keep weighing throughout. I gotta get the axles out because Quick Performance, I gotta order some new bearings. There's a couple small pieces I need for the rear. I'm gonna order through Quick Performance. I do want to do a different set of 4-link bars. I've been looking at the Tin Soldiers ones, but man, like the 1.5" Tin Soldier one is like $400 for the kit. So we're gonna have to just see how budgetary stuff works out. You got to get the motor together, assembled, everything. I bought Hayden's oil pan off of him that he had on his car, which makes it officially the fastest part on this car because his oil pan has gone faster than my turbo. So that turbo has gone faster than I have, but in my hands. So we'll have that, and then I ordered gaskets. I ordered just about everything we need to build the motor. So maybe we'll start building the motor here soon. So delicious. I need the trains out of the Nova. So I need that. We need a steering wheel. I still got to do that bar across there. We got to figure out what's going on with the steering. We still have to build an entire brake line system. Talk to our friends over at Alden Suspension, and they have got a set of 23-inch coilovers for the front heading out for this thing. Hopefully we'll get that within the next couple weeks. We can start building our long travel kit up here. I want you to keep chipping away. So that's going to be it for today. I know it's been a roller coaster, but this is real. Like sometimes you got to put the turbo 15 different places. Think about twin turbos, build half a kit, realize it's not going to work the way you want it to, all to just do the thing that you didn't want to do in the first place. I didn't really like this setup to begin with. Part of it, I think, was because I knew we were going to have to do a bunch of pie cuts and all that. Since I already had done them, this thing worked out. It all works out in the end. I'll see you guys next time. Smash the like button. Don't be one of them guys watching this video, 400 people watching on the premiere, and 27 of you hit the like button. Hit the damn like button for your boy. Drop a comment. I've been trying to respond to just about all of them, if not all of them. I've been trying to get through as many as I can here lately. And as always, thank you guys for watching. Thank you for tuning in. But I've got more lemonade candies to eat and figure out what the next steps of this build are going to be. I'm out.